Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. The Pharmacy Leaders Podcast is a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, with interviews and advice on building your professional network, brand, and a purposeful second income from students, residents, and innovative professionals.
Welcome to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast. I just wanted to let you know about something that just came in my inbox. So I'm on TLDR Pharmacycom's email list, and he just sent out a $500 ASHP stipend, and I want to talk a little bit about what's in that email and who qualifies and maybe who doesn't. So first of all, if you've never heard of TLDR Pharmacycom, they put out a bunch of cheat sheets and things like that to kind of summarize some of the most difficult topics and make them pretty straightforward. If you join their website, I know you can get 3 free things. So if you scroll down to TLDRpharmacy.com, go all the way to the bottom, you get an antibiotic cheat sheet, the residency job interview evaluation form. So if you're going to PPS, especially, or if you're going to be going on the residency showcase floor, definitely check that out. And then Chapter 1 of their book, Pharmacy School, The Missing Manual, if you're in pharmacy school now. And I think that's just for giving them your email address. So, but that's TLDRpharmacy.com. They've got a continuous blog of just kind of new things that come up. And the twist is it's absolutely dead on in terms of its correctness and accuracy, but it's certainly not boring. It's not like you're going to read it and go, oh my gosh, this is so boring. It's actually quite the opposite. It's actually pretty entertaining and really up to date. So they do a good balance of both. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the stipend. So it looks like it's for P3 and P4 year student pharmacists. And it looks like the rules are similar to mine. You can share and comment on the Facebook post. And this Facebook post actually has 16 digits. So I'm going to give them to you and tell you how it is. And then I'll also put it in the show notes. But it's facebook.com/TLDR Pharmacy. And that TLDR is too long, didn't read, which you'll sometimes see in like Reddit posts and things like that. And then it's facebook.com TLDR Pharmacy /posts, and that's plural, POSTS. And then it's like a credit card, /2037 4255 9653 2562. So the post number is 2037 4255 9653 2562. And that takes you right to TLDR Pharmacy's Facebook page, and there's already some action there from the people that were on the email list and started up. So he's giving you $500 to go, and I don't know when the contest ends. Wednesday, 10/24, so you've got a week to share, get all your friends and family, and just start getting on, get them to like your comments. But what I wanted to talk a little bit about was some of maybe the tactics and the techniques that someone successful is going to have to do this. So the first thing is you find out pretty quickly how much social reach you have when you try to do this. And I know a lot of people don't go on, because who wouldn't want $500? A lot of people don't try this because they don't want to know the answer to that. They've succeeded their whole lives. They got, straight A's, got into pharmacy school, Rokai in pharmacy school. And the last thing they need is to be told that socially they're not going to get X number of likes or whatever. It's really more about how well you have served other people. And if you've served other people, then you've invested in your, what I think, is it Dale Carnegie that calls it the emotional bank account? And what he does, it says basically the more you invest in that account, the more people are going to give back to you. So you're not going to be able to just pull off, hey, everybody at my college of pharmacy like this thing. What you want to do is first start with your own, whether it's pharmacy fraternity, pharmacy club, whatever it is, that group that you have that's really involved, that you're involved in. Talk to them first of all and say, hey, this is why this is important to me. I really wanted to ask you to do this and make it easy for them. Send them the direct link so that they can click on it, but make sure you're very specific that they don't like just the post, but they like your comment, which is what gives you the points or whatever it is that you need to succeed in this. So the first thing is to start with the people that are closest to you, start with that group, and just get some on the board. Because it's a lot easier to kind of keep rolling with this when you've got some initial success. The second thing you want to do is identify those people that are the most socially connected. It's likely not you. It's probably someone else. I remember when I had, this went badly, but when I had a party in high school, or maybe just after high school, I don't remember what it was. You know, we had like a few people come over, and we were just kind of hanging around like, I don't think anybody's going to come over. But then someone said, did you call such and such? And it's like, oh yeah, I did. He's like, oh man. And because that person called us like 5 minutes later, it's kind of creepy, and calls us and says, hey, you guys still having that party? It's like, yeah. After that call, a wave of people came in. So what I've seen sometimes when I've had these contests is that huge numbers will go up in a short matter of time as the social influencers get contacted. And while the professors might say, yeah, that's not a very good student, you know, they're always on their phone or they're always talking to other people, that person's actually probably going to have the least difficult time finding a job, least difficult time finding someone to help them, because they're always connected to other people, always talking to other people. So who are the social influencers in your school, in your life, in your friendships? Or ask your friends, those close friends in your pharmacy fraternity, whatever it is, to support you. And I found that it takes a lot of work on a continuous basis. And for my contest, I think once we hit the 500 mark, one person was over 400, one was over 500. I just gave 2 instead of 1. Just like, okay, well, we've seen who the leaders are going to be. But in the past, we've hit 700. And I think that's a lesson on both sides. First, I don't know if the people that were trying to get those likes ever thought that they would get 700. They might have known that they were connected and that they've invested in other people, but I don't think they knew that, wow, that is a lot of support. And when you ask for a small thing like a Facebook like, and you don't get it, that's also some feedback to say, hey, maybe you need to invest a little bit more as you're moving towards the end of pharmacy school to make sure that that network is there when you're wanting something which is much bigger than $500, which is maybe a job that pays, you know, $5,000 a month, or, well, $10,000 a month, I guess, for an average pharmacist. So kind of that was the second thing. So the first thing is to talk to your network. The second thing is to find the social influencers in your life, if you can. And then the third is persistence. Those that are succeeding are working at it every single day, but also getting others involved, getting others in their success. And instead of saying, vote for me, they're saying, be part of my community. And that might not seem like it's different, but that's a complete mind shift. And if you talk about success and getting things done, people want to join communities. People want to be part of a big win. It doesn't have to be their win. They love seeing someone else's win and that they're part of it. So number one, go to your closest group, start talking to them, ask them for their help. 2, find the social influencers that are going to start putting up huge numbers. And then 3, make it a part of a community that's not just supporting you, that's part of your school. So is it part of your school pride? I love that it was, and I completely did this, but it was, you know, Wingate against Lecom Bradenton, and it became, wow, you know, I'm seeing all these students from this school, then that school, then this school, and it was just kind of cool to see how they came together. So that's TLDR Pharmacy in a nutshell. Check it out. I think it's a great thing that Brandon and those guys over there at TLDR Pharmacy are also sending somebody to Anaheim as well. Pharmacy Podcast Network, just a couple of episodes I wanted to make sure that you heard about. So RX Talk with Susie, the person who launched the inaugural Women Pharmacist Day, and as someone who has 3 daughters who maybe they'll follow in their mom and dad's footsteps and become pharmacists, that was just a really cool thing to see that October 12th is that day. Haley Ward interviews Kelsey Sabata, an emergency medicine clinical resident pharmacist, and that was kind of a neat thing to hear about. And really, it's just finding out, well, what jobs are there? And I think, if I remember right, she said she was in the Central Valley and that there were increasing number of jobs. And I know California Health Sciences University is out there. There are some pockets of the country that are getting better served because pharmacists are going in. The supply that we have is maybe larger in certain areas, and people are going into these underserved areas and making a tremendous difference. And I can't remember the title of it, but there was just an article in Fortune magazine about how pharmacists can make a huge difference. Erin L. Albert is back with Farming Your Career, her second season of talking about career. And she talks about working along generational lines. And as a Gen Xer, I know there's the new generation, which I'm not sure is the new generation Gen Z, or is that like after Gen Z? Are they just the digital natives? I don't know. But it was interesting for me to hear that very much so the Gen Xers will work on many things alone, where the .com generation, which kind of followed me, is really much, much more cooperative and much less worried about money. But then Z, which is after that, is very focused on money because I think they grew up during that the recession and just the way that they grew up, that they're actually much more like boomers than anything else. So it's just kind of fascinating to hear Sarah Sladek of XYZ University talk about those things. First Financial Bank there's going to be a 5-part series in talking about financial resources in independent pharmacy business. And then Matt Patarini from the Non-Traditional Pharmacist interviews Brendan Duran, who is in regulatory affairs, and that's another area where pharmacists, the job growth certainly is there. It's going to be about 8%, I think, up till 2026. So lots of things going on from the mothership. An episode I didn't mention from YFP that I really liked was Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps. It's kind of a check off thing. You know, have you saved $1,000 for a starter emergency fund? Step 2, pay off all your debt using the debt snowball. And I needed to add debt to actually have a debt snowball to pay off. So I bought 2 houses, 2 rental properties, and now I'm paying the smaller mortgage off first, and then I'll pay the second mortgage off second, and then kind of go on. Right now, tax-wise, I don't think it makes sense to pay off our house, but we'll see. And if that's the case, then we'll do that as well. Saving up to 3 to 6 months of expenses and savings. What we did is, instead of paying off all the debt, is we created significant savings closer to 2 years worth rather than 3 to 6 months. But that's my own kind of need. I don't necessarily do this maybe invest 15% of household income in Roth IRAs and pre-tax retirement accounts. I actually have a pension that I pay into, so I don't know if it's 15%. I want to say it's closer to 10, but there's certainly something I'm paying into. But I don't really add to stocks and bonds because I don't really know much about them. I feel much more comfortable with real estate. But if you were to say invest early, I've done that. Save for Kids College, we just started that, so we're putting some money in there, so there is at least a fund. I think we could probably pay from their fund for I would say a year of one kid's in-state tuition. So we have a long way to go there. Payoff Home early, we could start doing that, I guess, but right now that would make more sense, for me at least, because I'm continuing to build those rental properties and then build wealth and give. I get to some extent that, that's the thing. You want to achieve stability first financially, then success, then you worry about significance and give. But what you'll find is that most of the people that are successful in business, successful in life, are active givers. What he's really saying is, don't give to be liked, and put that way before what would be stability. So if you don't even have $1,000 in your emergency fund, giving $500 to somebody just doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not trying to make a pun there, but what he's saying is, start building the wealth, start giving. But his idea really isn't necessarily the best way to the most money, but what he's doing, he's just creating a behavioral change. If you pay off all your debt, then you've created a situation where, like, wow, I don't want to get in debt again. And you have this mindset of saving, you have this mindset of making sure that you stay that way. But if you invest in hoping that you'll just make all this money and don't worry about the debt, then that debt may increase, that debt may never go away, and you may lose the money that you've invested, and now you're in an even worse position. So he's just saying, mindset-wise, this is maybe one of the easier ways to do it, but I love that. And then in terms of mindset, Fit Pharmacist Healthcare Podcast, he had an episode on mindset mastery, and it just was kind of a nice reminder to hear back again that there are only really two things we're trying to do. We're either trying to avoid pain or we're going towards pleasure. And when you make it that simple and that straightforward, you can kind of reevaluate some of the things that you're doing. You're like, man, I'm trying not to do this. Why am I trying not to do this? What don't I like about it? Is there a way that I can make this pleasurable? And then the inverse, which is, okay, well, I like doing this, but in the long term, is this helping me? Is it short-term pleasure where maybe I spend a bunch of money and go do something that I enjoy, but then later I'm paying for it, and so forth. So really kind of a nice episode 27 is, what kind of mindset do you need to achieve the goals that you have? All right, well, I went a little long on that just to announce that TLDR is also, giving away some cash to help students go to ASHP. Check out his blog post, which will be in the show notes.
Support for this episode comes from the audiobook Memorizing Pharmacology, a relaxed approach. With over 9,000 sales in the United States, United Kingdom, and Australia, it's the go-to resource to ease the pharmacology challenge. Available on Audible, iTunes, and Amazon.com, in print, ebook, and audiobook. Thank you for listening to the Pharmacy Leaders Podcast with your host, Tony Guerra. Be sure to share the show with the hashtag #PharmacyLeaders.